Hi there, my name is Philip Bacon, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. And What We Do in the Shadows is back for a second season. I didn't know, I've just been catching up. And it's really, really fun. I can't believe I haven't done a video about it yet to tell you guys. It's so much fun. It's a strong recommend from me. So the good news and bad news about this is it's co-created by Taika Waititi, who I'm sure you will know is a fantastic filmmaker with a genuinely very, very good sense of humor that he's able to convey onto screen. But downside, he is just another Hollywood jerk-off tool with like zero self-awareness and completely detached from reality. So, swing pluses and minuses, swings and roundabouts. That's what we got. So it started off as a movie in 2014. It's a mock documentary about housemates that also are vampires. So the vampires in question are like very, very old school vampires. They're very like Dracula-ish, with the traditional capes and fangs and bats and all the traditional vampire tropes, and that's what they have. And they also kind of bicker and argue about the mundane things that housemates often do, like doing the washing up or everything. But they do it with a vampiric twist, like they get annoyed that when one of the vampires doesn't clean away one of his half-drained bodies, that he just feasted on the night before, that sort of thing. So the movie also starred Taika Waititi as a vampire from the 17th century. He was a very stuffy, fastidious clerk, and he remained so after he was turned. And so he's this kind of housemate that would always be making charts for the household chores that the vampires need to undertake. So last year it was turned into a TV series. It was 10 episodes long, 30 minutes episodes each. They were actually close to 22 minutes long. In America it's on FX. In England I have no idea. You'll find it. Wherever it is, you'll find it. And so now they're back for a second year, and it's been maintaining its quality from the movie throughout, albeit completely changing the cast and the locations. Is still pretty much exactly the same premise. So, but before I get into it, can I ask you guys, can you hit that subscribe button, please? That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. I am incredibly and genuinely grateful for anyone and everybody who subscribes. I give stuff away each week on the channel. This week we got a bit of a trifecta. We have 3 things we're giving out. We got a bit of a Big Finish. Big Finish giveaway. We have this Big Finish. It's called The High Price of Parking, Sylvester McCoy's story. We have this one, which is good one, Alien Heart, Dalek Soul, 2 Dalek stories, and this one, which is Vortex Ice and Cortex Fire. I can't even remember it, but it's pretty good. They're all pretty good. All you need to do to remember it is subscribe to the channel. Subscribing being the very important part from my perspective. So thank you very much for subscribing, and then leave the hashtag We Love Stories. Good. Big Finish indeed do love stories. Also, there is a free audio adventure you can download from the video notes, which has all the instructions about how you can win this. We'll do the giveaways on Sundays or thereabouts, when I'm on the TARDIS zone with Noel. Okay, so the series What We Do in the Shadow revolves around a cast of characters, putting them in everyday situations with that vampires would find themselves in, and they just kind of work and interact and bounce off each other. So the characters, let's go with the characters. We got the oldest is what's his name? The actor's name is Kay Van Novak. All the actors are comedians, which is why I think it works. So you have Kay Van Novak playing Nandor the Relentless, a vampire who's like 750 years old. He was once a soldier in the Ottoman Empire. He regards himself as, because he's the oldest, as the leader of the group. Like all the vampires, in the movie, in this they wear the full vampire regalia, middle-aged European nobleman type clothes, and the sort of juxtaposition that really makes the humor work is they wear it when they're out, to Walmarts or wherever. So he's also a massive USA basketball fan, and has been since the early 92, and even wanted to he wanted to go to America and become American, solely so he could compete in the Olympics for America playing basketball. But then, when he got there, he got swept away by the Macarena dance craze in the mid-90s, I think, at the time, and so he gave up on his on his Olympic dreams. He was a king of a country, I think in southern Iran, was called Al Kulundra or something along those lines, where he was born, and that king was that kingdom was dissolved in like 1401, so it hasn't been around, and that's where he got the name Nando the Relentless. So when he explaining how he got his name, you get like the sense of like there's this kind of like strange sort of sweetness about him, which is really kind of weird. And you get the feeling he'll much rather be at a petting zoo, like feeding a llama, also like petting like a nice fluffy animal than ripping out a virgin's throat. So the peasants would say to him, "Oh, Nando, can't you relent?" And he says, "No, I cannot relent today. I'm not relenting." And thus he got the name Nando the Relentless. Natasha, I'm going to have trouble pronouncing her name. Natasha Demetrio plays Nadja, a Romanian vampire who's married to the third vampire in the house, Laszlo. She's a kind of slightly over the hill femme fatale vampire, where she can enslave men, to her will, which is how she met Laszlo, who became her husband. They have a very, very, very open relationship, sleeping with anyone and anything, regardless of sex or species. However, she is secretly also seeing a human man named Jeff Sucker, who was a reincarnation of a former human lover, Gregor, who she accidentally decapitated in a previous incarnation. My favorite character is Matt Berry. Matt Berry is freaking awesome. He's great in this. He plays Laszlo Cravenworth, an English nobleman vampire who was turned by Nadia, and as I said, is now married to her. He frequently disagrees with Nandor and Nandor's leadership, and enjoys making music and topiary sculptures, but topiary sculptures are in the shape of vaginas or vulvas. So, and his best party trick, he transforms himself into a bat by saying "bat" whenever he has to become a bat. But this has the knock-on effect that whenever you're in a sticky situation in real life, you just kind of want to go "bat" and just fly off and be a bat. So. It's also revealed he's got extensive pornographic filmography where he played vampire characters. I think was it in the 70s? I can't remember. So a really clever addition to the cast, which brings us something new, which is not like the non-traditional vampire. Was it Mark Polch, I think is his name, playing Colin Robinson. Colin Robinson, the vampire. He's an energy vampire, so he doesn't like rip out people's throats or drink blood. He lives off, energy. So so he has no outward signs of vampirism. Except sometimes, for comedic effect, his pupils will glow. Also, his reflection is also paler in a mirror. So instead of draining humans of blood, he drains them of humans and vampires of energy by boring them to death. He's like that insanely boring guy that you have in every office or social function, whittering on about something or other that's incredibly dull, and you're begging to fall asleep and try and stay awake just when you're ever in conversation with him. One episode he tangles with former Saturday Night Live. Oh, is it she might be Pearl? I haven't seen it for years. Saturday Night Live alum Vanessa Bayer, as she plays Evie Russell, a co-worker who turns out to be an emotional vampire who feeds off the pity generator for her by telling her these outlandish stories of how terrible her life is. Again, this is a very a very common office trope, and so so that shows that's what she feeds. And they have a clash about people of how much feeding they can do in the office, because they're like fighting against each other to either bore or get pity out of the humans. He's also a daywalker, which makes him be able to roam night and day, making the normal vampires envious of him. The others are continually annoyed by him, and they try to avoid him whenever they can, because he does bore them and he feeds off them quite a lot. So and but they let him stay because he has an office job, because he's a day walker, and that pays the money for the rent of their house. Finally, there's Harvey Gillian, I think is was it Guillermo? Guillermo, Nando's familiar. So he worships and serves Nando, his master, and has done for 10 years. And he wants to. He's doing this so he can become a vampire himself, because he's become completely enraptured by vampires after seeing Antonio Banderas in Interview with a Vampire. So he does all the boring household stuff, the cleaning. Although he's often up a ladder, like cleaning blood off a chandelier or something. Yeah, and he also has to deal with disposing on the bodies and finding new virgins for the vampires to feast on, which makes him go to he finds the most loser kids he can find. He goes D&D clubs, and he exhausts them, and he ends up going to live action role playing clubs. And he just trying to find the biggest losers he possibly can, who also happen to be virgin. So Nanda and his ongoing weird sweetness shows small acts of kindness and niceness, Giormo. Like he makes him a glitter portrait, a portrait out of glitter. Again, this is the kind of thing Nando will do. And he takes him flying, but generally he treats him terribly and belittles him. And he endlessly procrastinates about making Giormo into a vampire, which he's never going to do, because I think he likes him serving him. And he's a pretty good familiar. So Giormo is 98% Mexican American, but 2% European. 2% Dutch, and the other vampires don't know yet that he's a direct descendant from Van Helsing, the vampire, the famous vampire Slayer and Hunter. Hunter and Slayer, Hunter and Slayer. That makes more sense. So these characters. You basically each week you put them in kind of like amusing, mundane vampire situations, and you get a weekly chuckle fest. It really works. Again, it's a strong recommend. I haven't seen an episode of the original movie which I didn't like. We've had plots so far where they wanted to enslave the local city council of Staten Island, so to bend them to their will, or there's a werewolf feud because they catch werewolves pissing on their front garden. And there's also a great episode where Laszlo is captured by animal control while he's in bat form. But the standout of the season is I think the 7th episode of the first season, when the vampires are put on trial, and they get in every famous actor who's played a vampire in every movie and TV show they could find. So there's Evan Rachel Wood from True Blood. There's Tilda Swinton from No One Left Alive. I can't remember. That's a good movie though. You should watch it. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, who was in the Buffy movie. Danny Trejo, Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was a Blade, obviously Danny Bautista, and of course was it Taika Waititi reprising his role from the movie as a vampire played in the movie. So as I said, tons of fun, strong recommend. It's not going to change your life, but I think a lot of us are like going, well, what do I watch now? I'm running. When you finish Netflix, that means you've been home too long. So that's just another example of stuff you can do while we're all in lockdown. My name is Phelan Becken, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.